Well, last night I did not mean to leave you on a cliffhanger. That was not my intention. We were just super tired and it was getting on really late, and we literally went inside and went off to bed. It's lovely and sunny again tonight, but it's still nice and cool, and I thought I'm going to quickly show you what it is we've got planned and ask for your advice on what you might do. So Stephen and I have been talking for quite a long time about getting a new polytunnel. We were intending, I just need to stand out the sun, sorry. We were intending on putting one in the bottom area where the pigs were last year and where they started off this year. So if you've seen our small holding tours or anything where we've referenced that bottom area, we grew in that, or tried to grow in that, last year and the year before, and it was a bit of a disaster. Turned out to be far too much for us to manage, or me to manage, because it's more me in the garden, and Stephen helps out with the heavy lifting and the building and all of that stuff, and takes care of all of the maintenance of the small holding. Anyway, so we were going to put a polytunnel down there, but that again would split the difference between, we'd have half of the growing area down here and the other half, or however much it worked out to be, up here. Now again, we probably realistically just don't have time to manage that whilst we're working full time and in this particular chapter of life. So what we're thinking now is, I've just come out to show you to get the full effect. This area here, this is the original gate into the original plot. So when we first moved in here, this plot that we're walking into, where I was just videoing from, is what exactly how it was. Well, obviously not the plants when we moved in. So all of these beds here are the original beds, which is why half of them are dropping to bits and need repairing. But that aside, if I can find some photos, I'll pop them on. Otherwise I won't. Now excuse the shadows, it's not going to work very well, but we'll have to bear with me. This here, so these fir trees, which are completely overgrown, this one, in fact that might be you, not fir, anyway, completely overgrown. This box hedging was all here. However, this bit that you know that you saw us add the sheep bedding to, which is totally weedy at the moment, that's not what we're here to talk about. All of this was grass, and now when we first moved in, we sectioned this off and we put some of our rescue hens in there. So we moved in here, got some rescue hens, and they took over this whole area, and it was absolutely fantastic. Then we thought, oh, we could use this for growing space. And being at the time, YouTube wasn't such a big thing for me anyway. I saw on plenty of the blogs, of the smallholders blogs and all of the things that we followed about the different trees that you can see here. So I thought, oh, we'll do that. We'll go and get some trees. We have got, this is the apricot with the funky fungus. So that's still not doing any harm as far as I'm aware. So that's an apricot tree. Sorry. Yes, that's apricot. No, this is almond. And then we've got apricot and apricot. We have never had a single fruit off this tree. So I saw other people putting them in when they moved in their small holdings and thought, that must be what we have to do. That must be what smallholders do. Let's buy some apricot and almond trees. Needless to say, we've never once had a single fruit off this apricot tree. We've had a couple of the almonds, which you can see are still hanging around from last year. We didn't get to those because well, because of everything that went on last year actually, but you might be able to see in the distance up here, there was a couple actually coming. So that's it. We've had 1 or 2 fruits off this tree, or nuts. This tree over here has never bought anything, I don't think. Let's have a walk over. If I remember rightly, we've not had a single thing off this tree either. What did happen here though, as always is a story. The horses, one of them escaped once and got into the vegetable plot. That sounds like I've made it up, I haven't. And she came in here and she actually split this tree somehow by running past it or something or other. So that tree has always suffered. Anyway, this tree here is an absolutely fantastic apple cropper. I've got a couple of the honeyberry bushes that I've had maybe 1 or 2 fruits off, even though they are fantastic fruiting. Every year the birds are getting them. And behind here, which I'm not going to because we've had a massive deluge of rain again today, so this is the second day that we've had huge downpours, so the ground is completely soaking. I've only got my trainers on. So just behind this almond apricot tree, I keep getting them mixed up, is another apple tree, which is a discovery tree. Now if we go around the other side, let me go this way. So if we go out of this gate, I will get to the point in a minute, promise, and I just stand back here. You can see all of this is slightly overgrown, but there's some beautiful plants in, massively overgrown tree, fir tree, yew tree, whatever it is. we haven't taken care of that. We tend to focus more on the veggies and just let the other things grow rampant. Box hedging, again, something else that's high maintenance. Nettles, which you risk your life going past. So this is the opposite side of where I was just stood. Excuse the plane. Let's talk about something else while it goes past. Right, as you can see, this tree here is a massive heavy cropper. These all need thinning out, to be honest. The June drop hasn't occurred. Is it June or July? Anyway, so we are going through the jungle to the back of where I've just been stood, which was just on the other side of there. Excuse the nails, gardener's nails. All of this area here that's got the bedding on, the bedding's doing a great job of suppressing the weeds. I know it looks like there's quite a few, but these will come out really quickly, and this would be completely covered, a full carpet of grass and weeds if we hadn't have done that. So it has worked. But as you can see, it's a bit of a jungle here. Let's give you a view of what's behind here as well. These are those josterberries. More pears. Pears are looking good this year, actually. Don't think we've ever had any successfully. The wasps tend to get to them. I was thinking about trying those, is it pheromone traps? Anyway, more nettles, bins, full bins. Wistaria's looking nice though. Looks really good from through there. Anyway, what my point is, this area here, so from there's a pathway along there, from this piece of wood all the way across to that piece of wood where I first started. So the other, basically all where this straw is, we're thinking about putting a polytunnel. You're crazy, I think. Is that what you're shouting? You're mad. It might not look like there's much light here, but that's because we just haven't stayed on top of it. And the truth of the matter is, we have got these trees here which we are just not getting anything or very much from, other than the apple trees. So we've decided that from the gate, the original gate, which is just here, all the way across, way up to that gate there, is going to be, so I think it worked out at 6 meters wide by 11 meters long. It's going to be replaced with a polytunnel. Now that means, so we've talked about, should we put one somewhere else in the veg plot, you know, should we do it down the bottom? Realistically, it all needs to be in one place, and if we're going to be able to stay on top of it, you know, unfortunately we're going to have to continue working until our mortgage is paid off. As much as we would love YouTube to be a full-time, you know, career paying salary for us, we're not quite there yet. We're nowhere near that yet. So we're going to have to keep working until everything is paid, and then we'll think about things. A totally different video, different conversation that one is. So keeping it all in one place, this is the best spot Stephen and I think it will be. We have got, that is south, north is that way. So the sun comes up and over, and it's absolutely, it's a really bright, light and warm spot for a polytunnel. So back from this angle, what would that mean then? That would mean removing all of this box hedging, removing those trees, removing all of these trees that we've got 6 years worth of growing invested in. And do you know what? I'm actually okay with that. Oh, I forgot to mention there's 3 blueberry plants that never do well here. What we know we will do is keep the 2 honeyberry bushes, keep the blueberry bushes, and by keep I mean we would dig them out and replace them. I can't remember if honeyberry needs ericaceous soil, but either way we would figure out a new home for those. We would try our hardest to dig out the apple tree and replace that, possibly on the riverbank, find it a new home on our land and hope that it forgives us and continues to grow and crop. We are not worried about losing these 3 almond and apricot trees. That's not to say that we wouldn't try to keep them. We would trim this right back and maybe start from a much smaller tree again, and again just replace them somewhere on the property where they can just live out their happiest life, and not, if they take over, it's not going to cause us too much upset. The other thing, did I say, so obviously the box hedging would need to come out. We have never removed box hedging before. I can imagine those roots go deep. These roots will run deep. So the polytunnel entrance, so now imagine, picture this with me. We've got the pagoda or whatever it's called running all the way across there. We would create the polytunnel entrance. You'd come in the grass along there and walk in, rather than coming in this path and going in. So the front would be facing onto the pathway, The back would be facing onto this yew hedge along the back there, and there is actually a path which you can't see from here because that's another problem. Obviously just the weeds and everything that have taken over there that we just don't stay on top of, because it's in an area where there's no reason for us to go down there other than to weed, and it just never gets prioritized. So there is a pathway, so the polytunnel would go to the edge of the pathway, which is just along the edge of that box hedging, and that would leave enough room to be able to maintain the hedge and to get down, because we would still want to get onto the other side of this bedding area to that pathway, and we would still want to maintain those trees and the josterberry bush and the chokeberry bush and all of those other things that at the moment haven't been looked after. That would almost be a little separate garden in itself. I do have another idea on that, which involves what's on the other side of the trellis, which is currently where the ducks are. Let's not go there today and give Stephen a heart attack. So first up, so the first big hurdle is already complete. Stephen has agreed to do this. He will do all of the building for us, you know, with friends, family, whatever we need to do. So we're not going to have to pay to get this built. I've looked at the costs, you know, they are super expensive by anybody's means. And we obviously need to make sure that we're going to spend some time saving up for the residual money that we're going to need to be able to buy this. I've already been in touch with some of the providers, the polytunnel providers. Unfortunately, our channel simply isn't big enough for them to do any work with us. What are they missing out on? You know, so we'll be paying for this completely out of our own pocket, and we're going to record the whole thing. That's such an old-fashioned saying, isn't it? Do you still record things these days? We're going to film the whole thing, document it all on YouTube, and, you know, essentially continue to do the vlogging from the garden of everything as we're growing, but of the contents of the polytunnel moving forward as well. And we think that this is going to help us on our journey to become self-sufficient all year round. That's a different conversation again. So many thoughts going around my head at the moment about that, but I'll start a totally different video on that one as well. So what advice have you got for me? Front's going over there, which is, let me get my bearings, which is north facing, but the sun comes up over the top of the polytunnel. You know, it's going to go that way along, because we did think about having it taking over some of these beds and filling up some of the space here and giving up some of the beds to the polytunnel, but I just really don't want to do that. This is the most unproductive area of the veg plot. It makes no sense to lose off some of the productive areas and keep the unproductive area. I'm so excited about it. I think this is the best decision that we could have come up with, and I'm so pleased Stephen's on board with it already, because as you know, like I've said, he's not the grower, I'm the gardener. I enjoy doing it, he enjoys eating it, and he does help loads, but I'm just so pleased this is going to be the two of us doing this. So any advice at all, anything that you can think of that I won't have thought of, even if you think she's probably thought of that, drop it in the comments below if you don't mind. Removing the trees, how do we do that? What might we need to do to the ground in case we haven't removed them properly, although I'm sure we will. Stephen's talking about hiring a little digger or whatever it might be to make sure that it's all, you know, the whole, imagine this completely empty. Basically, that's what we're going to be starting from. We'll get the ground leveled, we'll put the dolomite in or whatever we might need to do. That's the other thing I was talking about, just working straight into the ground instead of doing raised beds. The ground here may well be, we think there used to be a cottage built here, and we believe that it was knocked down to rubble, and the rubble is underneath here, so we might not be able to just grow directly in the ground. We shall see. That might explain the absolutely shocking gravel pathways, which is something I would change. Again, don't go down that rabbit hole. So yeah, any advice you've got, any thoughts, most welcome. And that's the plan for one of the next projects. The other project that I mentioned to you, poor Stephen is actually working on that right now. He's in the back of the greenhouse. As I said, it's absolutely tanked it down pretty much all day today. This is the nicest it's been all day. So he's working on those electrics in the back of the greenhouse there. You can see him pottering. I won't bother going disturbing him. And hopefully we'll be able to get the greenhouse ready to receive the plants in the ground this weekend. If not this weekend, next weekend, but we'll see, because obviously the plants at the moment are all just in pots, and really I don't want to be disturbing them too much now that they're really coming on. Some of these are doing really well for the tomatoes, and these ones at the back here are the big mama, your paste tomatoes. So they will probably stay in those pots. It'll be the ones that are in the slightly smaller pots, these black ones here, that I'll end up putting in the ground there. Any other ones, what I might do while the greenhouse is being used or built in, I might have to fill the pathway here with what other pots I've got. We shall see. You only saw in here last night, but I'm really pleased with it. It's looking really good. Look. Anyway, so that's it. Another super short video just to bring it up to speed. I thought, oh my goodness, I've left on a cliffhanger. Didn't mean to. So that's the plan. New polytunnel. How exciting. Right, I'm going to love you and leave you and go and help my husband. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in seeing how this progresses, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a like, and leave me a comment if you've got any tips or any questions. I'm open to the questions as well, not just the tips. I'll talk to you later.